Today let's talking about why brakes can be overheated, especially disc brakes.
Patrick's Garage.
Grab your snack, welcome back. Brakes, disc brakes overheated that it squeezed by brake pads. So brake pads can't go from the disc for this gap which require so they not touch the disc. Slam the brakes, the brake pad goes away a little bit. This is not so big distance. But when they continue touching the disc will be overheated when you go through water, and this difference in temperatures, so the disc can be wrapped. Let's think why it so happened that brakes overheated. Why brake pads not realized back, and they continue squeezing the brake disc. Thing number one, why it can be probably brake caliper old, brake pistons rusty so can't moves back. Rust. Rust can penetrate under the dust cover to this gap between cylinder and piston. This is not too much gap, but more worse when rust penetrates inside this gap which intended for this rubber ring. So this rubber ring also intended to return the piston a little bit back after the braking when you engage the braking system. So they not return back. This is the reason which will be more common. We go more deeper with this problem later. But this gap should be cleaned. When you disassembling the brake caliper, you should pay close attention to this gap. A rubber ring, this is a rubber ring should be in good working condition. It shouldn't be too hardened, so piston will be frozen inside the cylinder, so it can't move back with this ring. Rubber should do this work. This work will be done by rubber. Rubber parts suffer from the time. This can be irritated by inappropriate brake fluid. You want to use only this brake fluid which was intended for your braking system. So, which will be a really horrible thing, and this will be causes of this stock of pistons inside the cylinders. What it can be, rubber parts can be shrinked inside this tube, brake hose, swollen inside, shrinked. Brake fluid goes to the caliper through the hose. So inside this hose can be swollen. So this way will be shrinked if not closed completely. When you press the pedal, liquid, brake liquid goes to the caliper, but it can't return back because hose swollen inside. This is really a royal pain in the butt. So hard to find these causes because you want to maintain your rubber horses in working condition. You want to check them. If your brakes overheated, this real cause that something wrong with rubber parts, with rubber hoses. You want to check your rubber hoses. When your brakes overheated, probably you notice that you get horrible gas mileage. Right after that trip, you want to go out and probably you're afraid to touch your brake discs, so you can just split on them and you see what will be? Little bit later, you can touch by hand your brake disc, and if you notice that they too much overheated, yes, they will be heated after that trip. This is normal, but when they overheated, something wrong, and you little bit rotate the disc, jack up the car, and you can watch how your wheel rotates. So if it not rotates as it should be, probably something wrong, and brakes will be overheated. So yes, you want to use jack to check points. You don't want to be squashed, but you can rotate the wheel a little bit, so you want to make sure there's something wrong with your brakes. I don't know what about drum brakes. A lot of causes should be with drum brakes why they overheated, but I was across with these problems with discs because since 1966 Volvo occupied their cars with brake discs in front wheels, front axle, rear axle with disc brakes. So this problem switch can be with overheated brakes. And when with these wrong working brakes you go through puddles, water gets to overheated discs. What can be with discs? They will be wrapped a little bit. So you can feel this on your steering wheel if they will be broken. This is we can understand, but what we can do? We can replace the horses. We can rebuild the brake calipers. By the way, you can watch my videos how to rebuild brake calipers. Probably you will need repair kits with rubber rings, these rubber rings, bleeding screws, and probably if they are really rusty, you want to buy with appropriate diameter for your brake caliper. You can watch my videos how to rebuild front brake caliper and rear brake caliper for Volvo 140 series, but this gearling Volvo equipped with gearling brake calipers, so they was installed in a lot of cars in the world. And I want to say that I prefer to not disassembling the brake calipers. You don't want separate them. This is work should be done only in the factory. You don't want to disassembling the brake calipers so they tighten it, because when you are assembling them not in proper way you can get more problems with over tightening, not enough tightening, so will be better not disassembling the brake calipers. When you rebuild the caliper, you want to replace these rubber rings, new pistons if they are rusty. Pistons can be good, luckily for you. There is special grease for assembling. You can't rebuild them right away in all desire. You want to buy a repair kit and you want to check your pistons, special grease. Just keep in mind things that seem simple aren't simple at all once you begin to messing with them. And yes, this process will be helpful if you have good condition brake horses. Any deviation in working of braking system can be cause of overheating brakes. You know this beautiful brake fluid which intended for disc brakes engulfing water. And rust can be, so for assembling I'm using special grease. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Click the subscribe button and notifications bell, so that way you can be notified as soon as I upload new videos about car repairing. Now, if you really like my videos, please share it with your friends.